What's up, bros? As all of us are observing sports cards dropping in value, even LeBron's cards are dropping in value after he won the championship. And this is something which I was predicting already half a year ago on my channel. And no, I'm not bragging at all because that's not really something to brag about because it was very obvious to anybody who has been following the trading card markets for anything longer than the past couple of years. However, there is one particular sports card market which is not like even dropping, which is like literally plummeting, and that is the soccer card market. So just to give you an example, let's consider Kylian Mbappe. So for those of you who follow my channel, you know that I'm very direct and I'm being very honest with you when I'm telling that 99.999% of all players across all sport are scraps. However, Kylian Mbappe is kind of a rare player because even if I wouldn't be objective, I cannot say that Kylian Mbappe is a scrap because at the very young age of 18 years, he was the key player to lead France to the World Cup championship. He almost led PSG to the Champions League championship. So even if Mbappe would quit soccer at this current moment of time, he has already achieved more than scraps and old farts, I should say, like Lewandowski, for example. And what is happening to Mbappe card prices? So his key rookie card is 2018 World Cup Prism. The base Prism PCA 10s, even off-centered, yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous, off-centered base Prism PCA 10 of Mbappe were easily breaking 3K during December. However, now these cards are selling for you might think $2,000. Nope. $1,000. Nope. Okay, you might ask like $750. No, hell no. They're selling for $600. So the prices dropped 80%. So you could think that perhaps it's a mass-produced card or anything like that, but if we look on Mbappe World Cup Prism Silver PCA 10s, and this is not a very common card by any measure because in World Cup soccer, the silvers, they were not nearly as common as, for example, in NBA Prism that year where they were like a dimes a dozen. Plus, the quality of edges, which PCA cares a lot about in that Prisma is not very high. So it's not like a very common card by any measure. So what's happening to the prices? Well, during the summer, the PCA 10 silver prism of Mbappe, even a PCA 10, which is again very far from perfectly centered, they were easily breaking 10K. What is happening now? Yeah, like 3K territory, unfortunately. So a very moderate 70% price drop. Yeah, the prices are dropping in other sports as well, but there the price drops are around 30% probably on average, maybe 35 to 40. But you don't really see this 70-80% drops which we observe. And I just give you Mbappe as an example of a player who is relatively young but has already achieved a lot. And if you look for hyped players which haven't really achieved much. These drops are even worse than they are for Mbappe. So what is really going on? Why the soccer card prices are dropping so much compared to other sports? Well, in order to understand that, we need to understand why there was initially a such strong increase in soccer card prices, why there was a boom in soccer card market. And you can watch a detailed video about it on my channel. The link will be in the description. But to be sure, the reason is that a lot of millennials, that is the generation which was born in 80s and early 90s, re-entered the trading cards, which was the hobby of their childhood. So a lot of them re-entered as purely speculators, but also a lot of them re-entered as collectors. And the problem with the soccer card market was that almost all new entrants to the hobby was speculators, in contrast to other hobbies where a lot of people re-entered the hobby in the purpose of collecting, not really in the purpose of making the money. And as a speculator, you don't you don't have a very long investment horizon or anything. You see that, okay, prices are going down, so you sell immediately. And this accelerates the price drop. In other sports, this is like a little bit slower because, for example, in basketball, a lot of new entrants were collectors, and because they're not very experienced with the hobby, they saw that some cards was say like $1,000 when they entered the hobby, and now these cards are $700. So they think, okay, it's looks like a good value, so okay, I'll go and buy them. So these collectors ensure that the floor is somewhat higher than it is in the card markets, where essentially everybody was a speculator. So the question is, why every new entrant in the soccer card market was a speculator? Well, the reason for that is that most of these new entrants were millennials. That is the generation which was born in the 80s and early 90s. And when they were collecting late 80s, early 90s, there were no soccer cards at all. And so they don't have such strong connection to the soccer card collecting as they, for example, have to the basketball card collecting due to the Jordan era during the late 80s, early 90s. And furthermore, even ignoring the background, the big problem with the soccer market is that the soccer as a sport is not popular in the US. And the trading cards, ignoring the lower end trading cards, such as, for example, match attacks cards, are not popular in Europe, where the soccer is really popular. So there is like this mismatch in the soccer market. And so a lot of people are thinking that this will disappear over time, but this is something which has been culturally in place for like 50 years already, and it's not changing at all. The soccer is not becoming more popular in the US, and these higher end collectible cards are not becoming more popular in Europe. This ensures that the collector base, which is determining the long-term price level in the soccer card market, is not growing, unlike in say basketball and baseball, which got a bump through a new millennial collectors re-entering the hobby. Well, the soccer cards are plummeting right now, and the question is what will happen next. What I'm gonna argue is that they're gonna plummet even more. And the reason for that is exactly the same reason which I just mentioned. The card collecting culture is really in the US, but the soccer popularity is in Europe. And in order to make the soccer cards popular, either soccer should become a more popular in the US, or these higher end collectible cards should become more popular in Europe. And what I'm gonna argue that both are unlikely to happen. Let's start with soccer becoming more popular in the US. There are absolutely no signs of soccer becoming more popular in the US, although there have been numerous efforts to make it more popular during the past 50 or even like 60 years. So it all started like back in 70s when actually Pelé came to play in the US, and no, it didn't make the soccer more popular. So perhaps you think that the US Soccer League MLS is on some kind of the race. No, it's not. As somebody who follows MLS pretty closely, I can tell you that the state of the league is pretty dreadful. So, yeah, they're adding teams, watering down the talent pool, but if you look on the objective profit channels, such as, for example, TV ratings have been literally constant for the past decade, and they're lower. MLS TV ratings now are lower than they were in 90s. Yeah. You might think that, okay, perhaps TV ratings are low, but you could see that the stadiums are somehow full, or people are paying a lot of money for the tickets. Nope. There is literally 4 teams in the whole MLS where tickets hold some value. That's Seattle, Portland, Atlanta, and Toronto. The vast majority of other teams are giving away tickets for free. For example, like this shirt which I'm recording this video in. Do you think that I somehow bought this shirt or nope? By my trade, I'm a university professor, and FC NYC gives a lot of free tickets to my school, where students and faculty can just go and get free tickets to the games. And what actually happened? So I went and I got a free ticket to the Hudson River Derby against New York Red Bulls. So that's already a little bit suspicious that they're giving away tickets kind of for their main rivalry game. And furthermore, that ticket which I got, it was the center field, something like I think it was row 17 or so. And when I was entering this section, it was some kind of a premium section. So they told me that they're doing a giveaway for that section, and they gave me this jersey. Yeah, so it's a replica jersey. It's an away jersey, but still, so it's your main rivalry game. You give away free tickets, and then you give away like jerseys. So this is like the reality of MLS. And no, it's not only FC NYC. For example, I was visiting Ohio State for work. And actually, at the Ohio State campus, they were giving away free like Columbus Crew tickets. So that's pretty much the situation around all MLS except these 4 teams, which I mentioned. So the MLS popularity is definitely not going up. So perhaps you think the soccer in the US won't become popular through MLS, it will become popular through the Champions League. But again, look on this Champions League TV ratings in the US. Yeah, there's a lot of debate about them, but the debates are like, are they like stagnant or are they going down? Nobody is arguing that the Champions League popularity is going up or so. Okay, so maybe it's not like club soccer, maybe it's about the national teams, and as you might know, the World Cup is coming to the US. So perhaps it's the World Cup which will give the soccer popularity in the US a big boost. But bros and sisters, like I tell you, for those of you who don't remember, there was actually a World Cup in the US not so long ago, in 1994. And has anything happened to the soccer popularity after that? Yeah, okay, perhaps it's not about the World Cup, perhaps it's the US national soccer team like has a lot of young promising players, and because of their success, then the soccer will become popular in the US. Okay, again, we don't have to go that much back in the history, and it might be surprising to some of you, like in the current era when the US fails to qualify to the World Cup, is struggling against such soccer superpowers such as like Panama. And no, the struggle against Panama, it wasn't a one-time struggle in the World Cup qualification. If you look at the recent for example, a CONCACAF Golden Cup, which is kind of Euro Copa America for North American and Caribbean teams, even there, like US struggled like with teams such as Panama, Curacao. Yeah, so in this era of struggle in the US soccer, it might be pretty surprising that actually less than 20 years ago, a US player was an all-star player at the World Cup. And that happened at 2002 World Cup when the US actually was in quarterfinals and was very close to advance to semifinals, because Germany, the future silver medal winner, struggled mightily with the US in quarterfinals. And Claudio Reyna was actually chosen to be a World Cup All-Star at that tournament. So perhaps you think that Claudio Reyna's cards are expensive, or, well, I can tell you, I personally have a hard out of Claudio Reyna because those of you who have been following my channel more closely, you remember that I'm building this Nobility Soccer Crescent Autos set, and Claudio Reyna in that set. So before recording this video, I checked what did I pay for Claudio Reyna's US World Cup All-Star player from 2002 hard out. I paid $374 plus the shipping of $375. And yeah, like the US soccer has a good generation coming, but I highly doubt that this generation will be able to go further than the quarterfinals of the World Cup. That is what this generation of 2002 World Cup achieved. And but no, still, like the stickers of Claudio Reyna's son, Giovanni Reyna, are selling for more than hard autos of Claudio Reyna. So just, I'm not saying anything that, perhaps one day, Giovanni Reyna will lead the US to the World Cup and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm not like claiming anything. I'm just putting the things into the perspective. Overall, there are no really reasons why the soccer would become very popular in the US. Of course, one reason is that the Latino population in the US is constantly growing, and for Latino population, the soccer is clearly the number one sport in the US. And indeed, if you go to these MLS games, at least outside of these four major markets, the majority of people there will be Latinos. But a big problem is that Latinos are very, very heavily discriminated in the US economy. And it might sound to you that if you don't live in the US, that all this Black Lives Matter is a nonsense or something like that. But no, it's not the case. There are like many studies many scientific studies which are what they do. They make, for example, identical resumes. So you have the identical college degrees, identical GPAs. And the only difference in these resumes is that on one resume you put the name John Robertson, on another resume you put the name Jose Rodriguez. And this resume which had the name Jose Rodriguez, it gets 30% less interview calls. So this discrimination is very, very strong in the US. So essentially white nations are getting a sweet deal in the US while black and Latinos are heavily discriminated. And this leads to the fact that because Latinos are so heavily discriminated, their economic power is growing very, very slow. And even though they have interest in soccer, like buying these trading cards, it's something which you do when you are like rather comfortable in terms of your financial situation. And the vast majority of Latinos are unfortunately very far away from being that. No, it doesn't really look like soccer will become popular in the US, so perhaps this higher end trading cards will become more popular in Europe. This is also something which trading card companies have been trying to do for a longer period of time, at least for like 30 years. I remember very well, I grew up in Finland in the 90s. There were tons of efforts, at least on the part of Upper Deck and Tops, to sell these higher end trading cards in Finland, but there was just no interest. I think there was like a dozen of us in the whole high school who were interested in the trading card collecting. Everybody else was just collecting stickers. Some people might become interested in this, but it just doesn't appeal to a broader market. And there are many reasons for that. One of them, of course, is that there is more emphasis on the financial literacy in Europe than there is in the US. That people understand that they shouldn't like put a lot of money into something which holds very shaky value, because unlike in the US, in Europe, in many schools you're actually taught of financial literacy. Another important aspect is that in most European countries you actually are forced to save for your retirement, so you don't contemplate it like, will I put like the money into my retirement account, or like will I go to buy this Marcus Rashford's Rocky cards. Your employer will put the money into your retirement account for you. But the main reason is, of course, the just difference in cultural preferences. It's like that different countries, for example, have a different food culture. For example, pizza is very, very popular in Italy, but you go a little bit north to a neighboring Austria and like they hate pizza there. So it is the same with the collecting. historically in Europe, it's all about stickers and lower end cards such as match attacks, while in the US it's about higher end cards. Usually, with such consumer preferences, if they haven't changed fast, they're not likely then to change anywhere in the future. It's a little bit like NFL was starting this European division for 20 years with games in Germany and Netherlands, I think, or maybe just Germany. But this like football never really took off in Europe, and it's not because football is a bad sport. It's just because there are no preferences for it. To conclude, there are no really factors which would make the soccer drastically more popular in the US in near or middle term future, and at the same time there are no reasons which would make this higher end card collecting more popular in Europe in the near or middle term future. So I literally don't see the reason why the value of soccer cards would go up.